Hi everyone, this is Ashley Latecki Ellenboss with Sky House Herb School and Apothecary, and today we'll be looking at herbs and tips that are helpful for weight loss. And today's topic comes from a subscriber who reached out to me and said, "Hey, could you talk on this topic a little bit?" And I thought it was such a great approach because what she was asking for were specifically herbal teas, and she's had an idea of how can I substitute herbal teas in the places where I normally reach for food? And so this is such a great approach because what we're doing is we're replacing something that is maybe a habit that is not very helpful with something that is very helpful. So I think that's a really nice way to approach weight loss. And this is a very complex topic, and there's a lot of reasons why people gain weight. And we won't be going into all of this today. But really today's talk is more of a chance to think about what are some really nice ways we can bring herbs into our daily life to support us with losing weight and really more importantly, nourishing ourselves. Um, so I want to say a few things first about why I think this is such a good approach, why bringing herbal teas into your daily life is such a great approach for weight loss. And the first one is because you're creating a ritual. And every time that we create a new ritual or a new pattern, it helps to slowly kind of break down and unwind the old patterns that we had. And when we bring plant spirit allies into our lives, we feel like we have support. We've got someone who has our back, who's standing behind us, cheering us on. And so I really think that when you're making your own medicines, and in this case today, we're going to be talking about 3 herbal tea blends. When you bring these teas into your daily life and you're engaging with the plants, that's a very empowering practice because you are bringing the power back into yourself and you're engaging with your own healing process. So this makes, I think, this approach a very, very positive one and very helpful. The other reason why herbal teas are really a great fit here is because they're going to increase hydration. And many times we reach for food because we're actually thirsty and we're dehydrated. I think something like, what was it? I think it was like 2/3 of Americans are dehydrated or like chronically dehydrated. So, most of us don't get enough fluids in. So drinking herbal teas is also going to help us bring in more fluids. That's going to help our bodies metabolize and break things down more efficiently as well. And it's going to give us a sense of satiety, which is something that a lot of us are looking for. And then the last reason why herbal teas can be very helpful is because they're full of nutrients like vitamins and minerals. And sometimes we reach for certain foods because we're actually looking for minerals. We're looking for, we're looking for nutrition. And this was something that I remember learning from my teacher, James Snow. And he just said, a lot of times when we seek out salty things and if we're more of a salty craving person, it's because we're actually low in minerals. We're seeking out minerals, and the best place we've found so far has been salty foods. And we might not realize that, gosh, maybe I need to take nettles as an infusion, which is chock full of minerals. Sometimes also if we're really craving sweets, we can be a little bit deficient in, especially if you crave chocolate, that can sometimes point to a magnesium deficiency. So sometimes just simply supplementing your diet with some magnesium can be helpful in that case. And then sweet can also just be, looking for comfort. Sometimes we're just craving comfort. And so finding activities and ways that we can relax our nervous systems and, find that warm blanket around us, metaphorically and physiologically can be very helpful. So the first question that this subscriber had is, she said, what can I do when I want to reach out for sweets? So that's sort of her, that's her sort of trigger is the desire for sweets. So if you're one of those people that crave sweets and want sweets, the number one herb that's going to help break that pattern is peppermint. And this is something I've used in my practice. I've used it personally myself, and I've seen it just work wonders because peppermint, it's such an invigorating and sort of powerful consciousness shifter immediately. So once you take a sip of peppermint tea, it first of all, what it does is it clears your palate, but it brings energy into your head and into your lungs. So you'll take a deep breath. When you take a deep breath, your nervous system will relax. So you'll start to go into a more parasympathetic or relaxation state. So making a cup of peppermint tea after meals, that can be really helpful, especially if you always crave something sweet after you eat. So instead, brew yourself some peppermint tea and have it ready. Brew it while you're cooking dinner and then just have it ready. So that way, when you're finished dinner, you just start to sip your tea. Another way that I use peppermint in my kitchen is I grow it in my garden, and this is a great easy plant to grow. And I strongly recommend, if you have sweet issues, that you grow your own peppermint plants. You can grow them in pots. You can grow them just about anywhere. They're very easy. And what I do is I keep it in my kitchen, and I'll just pull off a leaf and chew it after meals. And one of my students, I was talking with my class about this, my apprentices, and one of my students says, yeah, well, when you take peppermint like that, it's like you brushed your teeth. And usually right after you brush your teeth, you don't want to put anything in your mouth because you got this clean, fresh feeling. So that's another reason why peppermint can really work to break that cycle, is because, it clears the palate, cleans the mouth out, and gives you that instant refresh. There's also been studies that have shown that peppermint oil diffused in the air, and so we can guess that it's probably also for peppermint oil in the body, also can help with post-meal cravings for sweets. So there's a lot of reasons why this herb is a really, really good choice. The second question she had was around what to drink when you're too tired to go for a walk or too tired to exercise. So this is another place where some of us can get caught up. And so there's been a number of research on ginger. And ginger, this can be drank as a tea. You can use it in cooking as well. But I would recommend taking some fresh ginger and maybe taking 2 or 3 slices of the root and cooking it on the stove for maybe 15 minutes or so, like a low simmer. You can also buy ginger in a tea bag form, and then you can just steep that for 10 to 15 minutes if you're looking for something a little faster. And so ginger, there was a clinical trial in 2009 done with ginger, and they found that it had significant impacts in decreasing body mass. It also increased noradrenaline-induced lipolysis, or lipolysis rather. So it basically helps the body to break down fat cells. So it increases that process of breaking down fat cells. It also was shown to prevent fat storage. And we know that ginger also, just as a classic medicinal herb, is a heating, warming, circulatory stimulant. So if you're feeling kind of sluggish, that ginger can really start to move and warm and heat and invigorate your body. Now, another herb that's a really nice one that can be used in combination with ginger is green tea. Now, I know not everyone can do caffeine, so if you're very caffeine sensitive, then this might not be a good option for you. You can stick with ginger. But if you're not super sensitive to caffeine, then you can try green tea and ginger. And there's been a number of research. We know that there's a ton of health benefits for green tea. We know that it reduces serum triglyceride levels. We know that it increases antioxidant levels. But there's also been a number of trials that have been done with people and weight loss. And so there was a study that was done. It was a small clinical trial. And this was when a group of people, there was 36 of them over the course of 6 weeks, and they included dietary changes and exercise. And the group that took green tea had a significantly higher reduction in body mass, in waist circumference, and they also had greater overall endurance and muscle strength. So, included in a regular exercise and dietary change routine, green tea can be really, really helpful. And we know that it's a stimulant. It's has caffeine in it. So if you're kind of feeling sluggish and you need a little pick-me-up, I think that would be another great option to get you moving and to also just sort of increase your blood oxygen levels. So that would be, I think that's a really nice option. And then the third question she had was, what can I do? What herbal tea might be nice to drink in the evening instead of eating? So, a lot of times at the end of the day, we made it through another day. We're sitting maybe on the couch or we're reading a book and we want to snack. We want to eat something while we're relaxing. And for a lot of us, eating is a way that we wind down. It's sort of a signal to our body that we're relaxing. So one thing that we can put in place of that as an herbal tea, the first one is Damiana. And this one is, it's in the mint family, and it's a very unique herb. And Damiana it's both a relaxant, but it's also a slight stimulant, but not enough, it's not so stimulating that I'm worried about it, for sleep, but it's just relaxing and stimulating enough that it gives you a feeling of, it's hard to say, but I feel like it gives me a sense of completion. There's something when you drink Damiana, it's like a warm hug and like a pat on the head that says, okay, you can relax now and focus on what's next. So Damiana is really, really nice there. There was also a study that was done on Damiana combined with a few other herbs that showed that it actually helped also to maintain weight loss over a longer period of time. So this could be another herb we can incorporate into our daily tea ritual just to help us maintain the work that we're doing in losing weight. It's also it can help with blood sugar regulation. And so that can be something for people that maybe they're wanting to eat at the end of the day because their blood sugar is starting to drop. So this can help us, from reaching for especially sweets and sugary things in the evening time, and can help balance blood sugar. And this one is a pretty strong herb, so you don't need a lot. I would say, maybe start off with half a teaspoon or up to a teaspoon in a cup or a cup and a half of water, and just make that as a tea. And another herb that you might really like in the evening is chamomile. And chamomile is just, it's good. I think everyone right now can use some chamomile. It's the Latin name is matricaria, which is mater, mother, caria, to care. So it's the caring mother herb. And I think in the evening, sometimes we just kind of want to be swaddled. We want to be loved up a little bit. And so we seek that comfort in food, but we can also just find that comfort in an herb that is like the great mother. And so we can drink the flowers as a evening infusion. It doesn't have to steep that long. You can just let it steep for 5 minutes. You can use a tea bag. You could use a few teaspoons of the dried flowers. And just overall, it's going to relax you. It's going to get you ready for bed. It's also going to help you digest any of the food that you ate earlier in the day, because it is a gentle carminative for the digestive system. And yeah, it's just sort of an overall herb that that's very helpful. The other thing about chamomile is that it has some bitter components to it. And the taste of bitter is thought in Ayurveda to be reducing. So if you have like cravings that are building, bitter tastes will reduce those cravings. And bitter is sort of the antidote to sweet. So in the flavor wheel, when you look at all of the flavors, if you have a very bitter tea, you add sweetness to balance it. If you have a very sweet tea, you add bitter to balance it. So in this case, when we're thinking more of maybe the cravings, then we can add a little bit of bitter from the chamomile. And so we might want to steep it even a little longer to get some of those bitter compounds out. Maybe we steep it for 10 minutes. And then we'll start to taste a little bit of that bitter in the mouth. And that's a good thing, because it will help to curb the sweet cravings, but it will also just, again, reduce the tendency to need more. And it will, bitter herbs are thought to be lightening. So they lighten us, they lighten the load, they lift us and help us to be a little bit more expansive and diffusive. So those are the herbal teas that I suggest you give a try. Let me know what you think. Give them a try and type in the comments and let me know if they've worked for you. If you have any other herbs that you found to be very helpful, let me know. And just remember always that the plants are our friends. They're our allies. And when we think of them that way and we engage in the tea making as a ritual, and we use a favorite tea mug, and we take time, maybe we sing to the herbs as we're making them, then the process becomes so much more multifaceted than just something that we're doing to replace something else. It becomes a very rewarding, enriching, and even spiritual practice. So let me know what you think, and I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Have a good day.